Hey y'all, my name is Nat. I hope you're having a terrific day. Thank you so much for coming to my channel, and for this video I am going to be attempting to do a reading vlog. However, I have no idea how it's going to turn out. Let's see. Alright, so it is Tuesday, August. It is August apparently. I have time jumped 2 months in the future. No, it is June 9th, and for this week I am going to be reading Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas and hopefully finishing it, maybe moving on to Air of Fire. We shall see how much I get read in this single week. And then I will also be listening to the audiobook The Angel's Game by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This is the prequel to The Shadow of the Wind. Hello again! I have gotten changed out of my work clothes into some comfy things, and I'm gonna read for a little bit before I am inevitably called to help make dinner, so. Hello again, friends. This is my baby girl, Faith. She does not like me right now because I am not taking her on a WALK. Anyway, so I am about hitting the halfway point in the Crown of Midnight, and I have come to realize a few things. Real quick, I do want to give a little spoiler alert because this is the second book in a series and I am about halfway through it, so I am going to be talking about different plot points, characters, things that might technically be considered a bit spoilery if you haven't read any of these books, but I feel like it's a very popular series and probably everyone but me has read them. For one, I don't particularly care at all about Dorian's commentary. The points where we are seeing from his POV are kind of boring. I don't feel like they're adding a lot to the story, in all honesty. What we are seeing, it seems very focused on the romanced plot. It's starting to change a little bit, but not enough for my liking. I would honestly prefer to see more from the POV of the king, who is the villain character. I think that would be a lot more interesting. Number two, I'm still not a particularly big fan of Selena yet. I'm hoping she might grow on me some more, but at this point, she's still very much one of those not like other girls characters who is a hard ass. She's very much the anti-damsel in distress, which usually I love. However, her personality as a whole is just still kind of a turnoff to me, which is okay because you don't always need to like the main character. Number three, Cale as a character is growing on me a lot. I have to admit, he's pretty interesting love interest for Selena. Even though I'm not her biggest fan, I do think they're pretty cute together. I think they complement each other well, and as the two of them are, they are also both very different, and I think that will eventually play for some nice drama in the future. However, the current drama we are seeing between Selena and Cale is caused by Selena's previous relationship with Dorian in the first book, which, because I wasn't very invested in that relationship, I don't really care to see the drama that is coming afterwards due to it. Number four, I am also not the biggest fan with the way SJM has her character POVs broken down. Instead of being broken down chapter by chapter, which I think would flow a lot smoother, instead, in the middle of a chapter, suddenly you will change perspective to another character, whether it be Selena, Cale, or Dorian, and as well as the king at one point. I don't like that. It takes me a second to realize, oh, this isn't the same person I was just reading about. Yeah. Hello again. So I just came back from taking Faith for a walk, and I was initially planning to start on the Angel's Game audiobook while I was walking, but instead ended up listening to the latest episode of My Favorite Murder. No regrets. Not a single letter. This episode ended up actually covering both the life of Ida B. Wells as well as the Stonewall riots, so it was a very timely done episode with topics that made sense for what's going on right now in the world. And yeah, stay sexy and don't get murdered. Hello friends, so I am reading before bed and a lot has happened in the last few chapters I've been reading. Kale has been kidnapped. Of course, Selena finds out and she goes into, which I can only relate to the rage X-23 goes into when she is exposed to the trigger scent. She essentially goes on a killing spree of all of these people who have kidnapped Kale, and all I can think is, well, A, Selena, I feel like you need to think things through a little bit better. Like, did you learn nothing from what happened with Sam in the last novella? Like, just saying. Archer ends up revealing that Kale is still technically loyal to the king, which I feel like wasn't that much of a stretch because he is the captain of the guard, and that is something we've seen from him as a character, is he is very loyal to the nation. Selena then goes running to the castle determined to save her friend and ends up coming upon her dead body, which I have to say, wasn't expecting that. Good plot twist, SJM. But she then goes into another rage. She then goes from being probably essentially in love with Kale to then trying to kill him because she believes he was partially responsible for Nahima's death. I just have a hard time seeing that. It's such a quick shift, and I get that she's emotional in this moment, but I feel as though she really should think things through a little bit more. She's supposed to be this amazing, best in the country assassin and all that, and yet she is so emotional and just constantly is jumping into situations without knowing the whole truth, and I feel like she should be smarter than that by this point, what with everything she's gone through. My dislike of Selena has grown a bit more, and for how she is supposed to be written and what we have been told about her, she should be better than this. Anyway, good night. Hey y'all, so it is Wednesday, June 10th. I have just gotten back from work and I started the Angels game. I already am pleasantly surprised. I thought this would be maybe focusing on Julian Carax. However, it seems to be revolving around a author named David Martin, I believe. This one is also set in Barcelona, however, it is taking place during the 1920s and 30s, so that's interesting. It's a bit of a shift from the 40s that we had in the first book, but I mean, it is a prequel, and that's what that means, is earlier time. So far, we've already had a bit more of a tragic backstory for our main character. Instead of having to deal with a father who has substance abuse issues, he has found solace in the book The Great Expectations by Charles Darwin. Almost said Darwin. By Charles Dickens. That's really it thus far. The writing is still absolutely gorgeous. Hey y'all, so it is Friday, June 12th. I unfortunately didn't really read all that much on Thursday. I listened to maybe 30 minutes of the Angels game, but that was about it. So I can give you a little update on what's been happening there because we have had some interesting developments. I will give a little spoiler warning if you are interested in reading this book, because I am going to talk about something that, although it does happen fairly early on, does seem like a fairly big plot point. For one, we have met the love interest in this book. I believe her name is Christine, and she works as David's mentor's typist. There's a bit of a conflict between David and Christine because she doesn't believe that he should be working for this publisher under a pseudonym, and he has to work for them for 8 years before they will ever publish anything under his actual name. But it turns out that David, who we've seen has been suffering from headaches, loss of appetite, he isn't sleeping well, he apparently may have a growth on his brain. And with that, his doctor tells him that he may only have about a year to live. David goes back to his job, to the publishers, and tells them the pen name I write under, he's dead. However, the publishers end up telling David that maybe he should take like 6 months, 9 months off, and so he does, and basically just decides he's going to attempt to write his own novel how he wants and not what the publishers want. This is also an interesting shift from The Shadow of the Wind, because with that book, the main character, Danielle, we got to see from when he was a child to the time he got married. So that was probably like 10 to maybe 20 years, whereas this book is only going to take place over a year. So it's an interesting time shift, and I'm kind of intrigued to see what's going to happen with the plot. It is Friday, and I want to try my best to finish Crown of Midnight tonight, as well as hopefully listen to a little bit more of The Angel's Game, maybe take my pupper, who I don't think you can see, but she's laying right here, on a walk. That's it for now. Bye! Alright, hey y'all. So I finished Crown of Midnight, and I have to say, pleasantly surprised. We've kind of had 2 plot twists happen in probably about like the last 30 pages. In all honesty, I did guess both of them, but I think that was because I knew there was some form of a twist in the second book. So I was definitely picking out things here and there and paying more attention, trying to figure out what the twist was going to be. And I ended up guessing both of them. The first big twist is that Selena is actually a fae. The first one I was kind of just, was basically not too surprised about. I thought that one was we had a pretty obvious lean in to what that one was going to be. However, the second that happened at the very end was a nice solid twist that I might not have guessed if I hadn't been paying so much attention. But Selena is actually the long lost princess of Terrasen, I believe is how you pronounce her country's name. Although the characters seem to be the weakest point in this series, for me at least thus far, I gotta say the plot has really kept me interested. The world building's been very intriguing. I appreciate the way Sarah J. Maas has even gone on to establish like the different types of religions and magic that is in this universe. I thought that was very interesting, and I am excited to see more of that. I could probably see this book being like 3.5, 3.75, 4 stars, somewhere around there. Hey y'all! So it is Sunday. I'm so sorry I did not update at all yesterday, even though I did get some more reading done on The Angel's Game. And I have read a bit more of that today, as well as I officially started Heir of Fire. Look at me go. So it turns out what I said earlier about what I thought was going to be happening in The Angel's Game was completely wrong. Our main character, David, who I thought was supposed to be love interest, Christine, ended up marrying his best friend slash mentor, and now poor David is just like longing after her but not interacting with either of them anymore, so that's depressing. Along with that, the publishers he was working with, 2 of them died in a fire, and the police think he actually might be responsible for the fire. David actually ends up meeting this French publisher named Corellia, I believe, and Corellia offers David a ridiculous amount of money and also offers to have the growth on his brain operated on. What Corellia proposes to David is essentially that he wants to start a religion. He wants David to write the text that the religion will be based on. It's interesting. David has also taken on a protege of his own. Her name is Isabella. She is 17. She's quite a spitfire. The 2 kind of have a complicated relationship currently. Essentially, David wants to help Isabella, but at the same time, he thinks she's kind of annoying and is trying to butt into his life too much. She sort of maneuvered her way into living with him by lying that her father threw her out when in all reality, she just left, and her parents are actually hoping she will come back. However, Isabella does kind of call David out on his BS. I think I'm nearing about the halfway point in this book right now, so yes, it's been an interesting turn. Given the fact that David did have the growth on his brain operated on, I imagine this book will in fact be longer than a single year. Now, we'll see. Next, as I said, I did start on Heir of Fire, the third book, I believe, in the Throne of Glass series, and already I am very happy to see that Sarah J Maas has changed her POV stylings, so now it seems each chapter is a different POV of a character rather than just being random portions within the same chapter, and I'm very happy about that. It flows so much smoother already, I can tell. We have already met another Fae character. His name is Rowan, and from what we've seen thus far, Rowan definitely seems like the strong silent type, and from what I have been told by my friends who have also read this series is that he is definitely a contender for a new book boyfriend. So we'll see how I like him. Definitely gonna try and read some more of this tonight before bed. However, because I know I'm gonna have to finish up edits for this video to go out tomorrow, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off here and say thank you so much for checking out my channel. I really appreciate it, guys. Please remember to hit subscribe down below, and I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Bye!